So I want to welcome everyone to today's webinar for busy lawyers. My name is Laura. I'm a law practice advisor with LCL, Practice Management Services. I want to thank you for being with us, especially as I know today is a very hard day across the country. If we can just take a short moment of silence for the events of yesterday. Today, we will be talking about practical tips for your law firm with regard to referrals, both from other attorneys and from clients. We know that this is something people are greatly interested in. We are so lucky to have attorney Chris Early back with us. He had huge acclaim when he was with us earlier and gave us practical time management tips. We are just thrilled that he is back. Before I turn it over to Chris, I'd like to give you a short bio and some instructions. We'll be doing a presentation at the first half of this presentation and then questions and answers to follow. If you have questions, please put them in the chat and we'll address them at the end. And to give you a bit of background on Chris Early, he is a personal injury attorney and author who in Boston since 2005 has concentrated his practice on the representation of the seriously injured and their families. When not working on growing and scaling his firm, he enjoys spending time with his wife and 2 children. He's also a very bad drummer and has a great sense of humor. That was my part. He encourages lawyers looking to grow their practices to contact him as he loves discussing all things related to growing a law firm. And his website is chrisearly.com. As I said, we are absolutely delighted to have his expertise here. Chris knows a lot about referrals. And so Chris, I will turn it over for you for this lovely topic today.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so very much. I appreciate, thank you to LoMap. Thank you to Rachel. Thank you so much this platform, this opportunity. I appreciate greatly. Obviously, we're on the heels of a devastating event, and so our hearts are very heavy today. And I appreciate everyone for joining this. This will be my hopes of being very high quality content. Right, we'll get right to the point and provide some high value content to everyone on this call. Because everyone is busy, so let's get to it. As Laura stated, my name is Chris Early. I'm a personal injury attorney in Boston, and I am. And I enjoy talking about topics such as referrals. I think referral marketing for attorneys is just so important to drive a practice forward and to really move the needle to grow a practice and make it grow as much as we desire to grow. So this is called effective referral marketing for attorneys. And so we're going to get right into it. All right. So here's a quote. From a book I just read, a really good book by Keith Ferrazzi called Never Eat Alone. The quote is, "It's better to give before you receive. Never keep score. If your interactions are ruled by generosity, your rewards will follow suit." For many years, I had a very backwards view of relationship slash referral marketing. I was just looking to get cases. And I wasn't thinking very broadly or very wisely in retrospect, because really this is about relationships. It's about giving value. It's about a back and forth, right? And we're going to talk about the importance of not keeping score, of not being closed-minded, of really thinking about the long game, right? Because that's what relationship building is all about, helping the other person. And I believe strongly that you will receive value commensurate with the value that you put out there to others. So this is a fantastic book. Highly encourage everyone to read it. If you haven't already, it's fantastic. So mindset, I think, is really crucial when it comes to relationship marketing, right? We want to have a mindset, a growth mindset, right? We want to focus on expanding our network. Personally, I try to meet as many lawyers as I can, because you never know who can or will refer you a case. Sometimes we're surprised by a referral from someone we never expect a referral from. So ultimately, anyone in your network can refer you a case, right? And we just touched upon this. Always be a giver. Don't be a taker. I was a taker for years, looking at things, as I said, from the wrong vantage point. Don't keep score, and always provide value. I think of this like an investor, right? This is a long game, like any smart investment, right? There's no quick hits, no short wins. This isn't a short game. This is a long game, and like any smart investor looks at, the stock market over time, that's when the greatest returns are realized, when you're in something for a while and you invest. So invest in your relationships, because I find they compound over time. One solid attorney could refer you over the course of your career 100 cases or more, right? Or maybe 5 cases, whatever that may be. That's going to help, again, move the needle for your practice and compound over time. Again, no quick wins. It's a long game approach. I liken it to farming, right? We are planting crops, awaiting the harvest. The more we invest in our relationships, the more they deepen, the more meaningful they become, the more value we provide to others, more value we get in return. So it works good for everyone. And this requires, I'm going to talk about some things that require persistence and a high level of determination, because a lot of times your efforts to network will feel thwarted or frustrated, but this is really about being persistent in a very tactful way, obviously, but don't get discouraged. And we'll get into that as you build out your referral network. Mindset, again, crucial. Before we get anywhere, the mindset has to be right, right? So why is this important? So again, we're talking about long-term relationships and the value that we can provide first, and hopefully we will receive value back at some point, right? But this is how you can truly grow a practice. This is to me kerosene, right? It's just when properly attended to and focused upon, growing your practice by meeting other attorneys, by providing value, explosive growth, I believe, can and does occur. We want to create raving fans. We're going to be talking about attorney referrals, but also client referrals, right? We want other attorneys and our clients to love us, right? We never want to give them any reason not to. We want them to be brand ambassadors, or many marketers or evangelists, meaning that you, and we'll talk about this later, being top of mind for these clients and attorneys. You want to be the one they think of, because you are such a great lawyer who provides fantastic client service, that you're the attorney that attorney or client thinks of when a referral comes about. So we're going to be focusing on those things momentarily. And again, this is about attorney referrals and client referrals. And for me, my most valuable asset is my list. And that's why I capitalize the word list. Your list is your gold. That is everything. That is your network. And we have to, again, we're planting seeds here. We're farming, right? We want to expand that list each and every day of more attorneys, more clients. By far your most important by far your most important business asset. And this requires, again, intention and focus is first and foremost, in my mind at least, right? That's most important. And then big rewards can come. But again, as I said, this is hard work. But the more you sow, the more you can reap. But it can be discouraging, especially during COVID. And we'll talk about that, the networking challenges that COVID has brought upon us. But there are creative ways to work around this new normal, this new way of doing things. You can't eat the elephant in one bite. I'm going to be discussing content that may seem overwhelming, that may seem like there's just no time of the day to get it done. But if I can do this stuff, anybody can do it. I promise you that. So this is about chipping away each day, building that list, creating relationships, nurturing relationships. All right. Attorney referrals, right? Now, why are they so important? For me, I find these referrals, these referred cases can be the best cases because of a few different reasons. They've already been vetted by the attorney in all likelihood, right? It's rare that an attorney, at least in my experience, will just randomly, send my firm a case. There's been some degree of vetting, right? For some questioning that occurred that filtered that case through the attorney's filtering system and decided that's a potential case. So that saves you and your staff time. You don't have to ask those questions, those intake questions, because you have to do an intake, of course, but you don't have to vet it quite as much as you would a cold call, someone calling you for the first time. And this is huge. You didn't have to pay any marketing dollars, right? These are attorney referrals. Personally, as a personal injury lawyer, spent a fortune on advertising, right? But these referrals are, again, the attorney referrals. These are our brand ambassadors, our evangelists, our raving fans. So no marketing dollars required. That's crucial and helps us so much with our growth. You don't really have to sell yourself or your services. You already came recommended by the attorney who referred the case. So you yourself have already been given an element of credibility by virtue of the fact that this attorney has referred the potential client to you. So those are massive factors as to why attorney referrals are so incredibly valuable. Now, again, we're getting out of the pandemic. We're still in it, and we're definitely encountering a new normal of doing things. I have not always been a great networker. I am always looking for ways to get better, but COVID, I really rethought relationship marketing, and I made some discoveries. So what I do, which has gained great traction for me and given me great results, is, as I said, I'm a PI lawyer, right? So I'm trying to create relationships with lawyers that are not PI lawyers, right? Immigration lawyers, for example, real estate, criminal defense, whatever it is. I'm looking for attorneys outside my practice area. And at first I would, if I didn't know an attorney, I would email the attorney, hey, John, right? My name's Chris, would you like to have a conversation? Let's sit down for coffee. That didn't work. So I started to call. Instead of emailing John, I would call John, and I'd be very, transparent. I'd say, John, I don't know you, you don't know me, but I'm trying to expand my network. Would you like to have a conversation at some point over coffee? And I'm just very honest, because I think a lot of times lawyers can be defensive and they get calls like that. So I try to be disarming and honest and transparent. Say, look, I just want to start a conversation. Let's do it. If you're interested, and by and large, lawyers have been very favorably disposed to that offering. But you have to be, persistent. It's rare that an attorney will respond to me on the first try. So I keep a spreadsheet of my efforts so I can track which attorneys I've reached out to expand the network. And again, I'm really upfront. I explain, hey, I'm just trying to have a conversation. I'm trying to expand my network. Would you like to have a conversation? And people really, like I said, react favorably. Again, Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi, a fantastic book. When it comes to sit down networking, I'm more of a fan of coffee. It's cheaper, it's a little bit quicker. I'm not averse to lunch. It's just more of an investment of time and money. And in fairness to the person, again, the lunch is, or rather the coffee is a little bit quicker for everyone, but there's no wrong way to do it. Just to be able to sit down, have a conversation, learn about the person's practice, share about your practice, can be incredibly rewarding. I bring for merchandise. I bring my merchandise. When I meet an attorney for the first time, I bring my books, my newsletters, my merchandise. For example, we have umbrellas, even like brownies, right? Things like that, just so he or she can see from the moment that we meet that I'm a different lawyer. We have a lot of good assets, and that attorney after the meeting can read the books, read the review books we have, just really learn more about myself, my practice, helps us stand out. We're always trying to be different. And then after lunch or coffee or wherever we may meet, I will add them to my list, right? And we'll talk more about the list and how we leverage the list, but primarily we want to stay top of mind, right? Top of mind awareness, TOMA. We're going to get into that, but you can't just have coffee or lunch with someone and then just hope that you get a referral at some point or that you guys come into contact once again. Again, we need to be intentional and focused and carry the conversation on, keep the conversation going. I do that by way of a monthly mailed printed newsletter. I do it by way of a weekly email blast, and that email blast isn't spammy. That's a very intentional email transmission, has a very high open rate, and people don't generally unsubscribe because we give value to people, to attorneys. We speak the language of attorneys. We know what attorneys are thinking about, and we try to provide value in our email blast. Email blast is free. The newsletter does cost some money, but well worth it. I'm a really big fan of handwritten cards. So after I meet an attorney for the first time, whether it be at a bar function, coffee, lunch, whatever, I send a handwritten card next day, or as soon as I practically can get to it, send a card. Hey, John, it was really great to meet you. I enjoyed learning about your practice. Let's chat soon, right? Showing up differently. A minor thing I've read in one book, they say blue ink is more effective than black ink when it comes to writing handwritten cards. Just a little FYI in that. This has worked well for me during COVID because we had to get really creative when everything shut down. We had to find a new way to reach other attorneys and have that conversation. BHAG stands for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. I didn't coin that. Someone else much smarter than me did. But my BHAG for this year is meet 75 lawyers. And I'm tracking this on a spreadsheet. I think I'm at around 30, but it's been so hard. If I didn't follow up with the attorneys more than once that I'm trying to reach, I probably would have already only met 10 at this point. So again, we got to follow up. And I don't mean, being a jerk and being annoying. I mean, genuinely showing, hey, I'm just following up. I'd like to have a conversation with you, learn about your practice, and take it from there. But this has been very helpful for attorney relationship marketing. All right, so how do we nurture the relationship? Again, we met the attorney. We can't just we can't just hope and pray that they remember us when they get a referral down the line that falls in our practice area. And this is not just new attorneys that we're meeting. This is attorneys already in our network. We have to continue the dialogue, the conversation. This is an ongoing, organic relationship. That's not a one-off. This is a back and forth over many years that we want to establish. Again, monthly attorney newsletter, right? That's really important. I send attorneys a client newsletter that I have that has nothing to do with the law. It's just basically about what my family's up to, what we're doing in the office. And that client newsletter plays well with attorneys too, because it just speaks. It's just a good newsletter, if I may say so. And we got a really good response. So we send the client newsletter to also attorneys as well, but also an attorney newsletter where I offer practice management tips that have helped me move the needle in my practice. I speak on topics like, hiring, firing, onboarding, marketing, culture, the things that really, that I think attorneys care about and want to know about. Because like me, I know my fellow lawyers struggle with these things, and I do too. And I try to impart my wisdom as best as I can, however small it may be. At the end of this webinar, we'll give an option if you'd like to opt into our monthly newsletter. It's got some good stuff. Again, handwritten cards. If I see Mass Lawyers Weekly, a fellow attorney had a big verdict, I send a card. Hey, I saw your big win. Congratulations, awesome job, right? Maybe it doesn't have to be a big verdict. It can be a promotion. It can be anything in any type of good outcome that a lawyer achieved, either professionally or personally for themselves. I think it's important to send a card, because I don't think anyone does that. Again, blue ink. And I like to check in each quarter, whether I just met that lawyer for the first time or I've known this lawyer for years. I like to check in and say, hey, it's Chris, just checking in. How are you doing? How's the pandemic been on your practice? And just checking in and just having a conversation. And that can be email, phone call. There's no perfect way to do it in my mind. Just reaching out and sustaining that relationship. We got to be social on social media, right? LinkedIn especially. LinkedIn is fantastic. Again, if you see that someone had a big win or great success in some capacity, send a message on LinkedIn as well. Hey, I saw, John, you had a nice verdict, or I saw you again had that promotion. Congratulations, fantastic job. Just showing up, keeping the conversation moving. And I think this is really important. Whenever an attorney refers you a case, it's really important to update that attorney, right? I myself, for years, been frustrated when I refer a case out. I don't know what's going on frequently. I don't know the status of the case, but this is low-hanging fruit you can do easily. And systematize this in your practice if you can. It's super easy to do. When you get a case and you accept that case, update that attorney. It doesn't have to be every month, even every couple months, every quarter. Just let the attorney know what's happening, and you'll further stand out in that attorney's mind, no question. Client referrals, right? Just like attorney referrals, these can really move the needle in our practice and help us grow exponentially. Again, kerosene, right? The more we tend to this, the more we tend to grow. Now, why are they so important? I find that birds of a feather flock together. Clients that are generally easy clients to work with, the good clients that we want to attract and work with, generally socialize, have family or friends that are equally or so inclined, right? Or rather are also nice, just like them, or easy, just birds of a feather, right? I find difficult clients tend to refer difficult people, and the inverse, right? The easy, the nice, the great clients tend to refer easy, great, nice clients as well. So really important. Again, they come pre-sold. If a former client refers you a case, they probably spoke very highly of you. So you're pre-sold, no selling. Again, we don't have to spend any marketing dollars, right? This client referred so-and-so to you. So great, that's fantastic, right? And again, no selling involved. You don't have to, sell yourself or the quality of your services. You are already pre-sold. This person knows you're good because they heard you're good for someone they trust. Client referrals, so very important. How do we encourage client referrals? I'm a big culture guy, right? In my office, when you walk into the reception area, there's a sign that says, thank you for your referrals. We're always here to have a conversation with anyone that we could help with any type of legal situation, right? So we have a sign, email drip sequences. We utilize a CRM. So when we represent a client, we, in addition to paper communication, will sort of pepper them with occasional email updates that are automated email updates. Or for example, the cases in litigation, we can set up a email sequence that kind of gets in the conversation that's going on the client's head about, what's next in my case? Well, it's probably going to be a deposition. So we can talk about that deposition in the email. And the email, we double down. We say again, hey, just to let you know, we are built on referrals, always looking for a referral. So if we can ever help someone, please let us know how we can help, because people don't know, never assume the client knows that you want referrals. They may think you have enough business already, or it may not even occur to them that you want referrals. We want to be intentional. We want to be really, remind people. I don't mean, I don't want to be annoying and a pest. No, these are gentle nudges, reminders. Hey, just let you know, we are both in referrals, and we encourage referrals. I'm a big client service guy. I'm obsessed with providing really good client service, and my team is just the same as me in that respect. So we really want to go above and beyond for clients. We're talking about raving fans. Talk about that at the beginning. We want the client to be so happy with you that when they encounter someone in their lives, excuse me, that could use your services, you're the one they thought of, because they not only, I find it's not about the result you get for the clients, how you make the client feel, right? By, again, showing up differently, by being a caring lawyer, a engaging law firm, a law firm that demonstrates love, care, and concern for your clients. Because then clients or attorneys, we're just talking about relationships and helping people and being good people and providing value. And I find that really good things come of that. It makes us feel good to do that. So always focus on the client. The client should be served at the highest level possible. And when you do that, great things happen. And even after the case concludes, right, in our newsletter that the client's going to get, right, every month in the mail, printed newsletter, it's going to say, it's going to give shout outs, a list of people who referred us a case the previous month. So we're trying to encourage and foster that culture of referrals, right? Handwritten cards. Whenever a client refers a case, next day, or as soon as I practically can, or same day, whatever it is, I send a handwritten thank you card, thanking that client. Thank you so much. For referral means so much, because that client didn't have to do that. That client is sort of going out on a limb and being vulnerable by referring a client to you, when the client doesn't know what's going to happen with that referral that they make to you. So you want to really show appreciation and confirm that they made a great choice by referring a client to you. And again, we talk about the newsletter. I give shout outs to the newsletter and a quick blurb in the newsletter. Hey, if you have a legal need that is not related to a personal injury case, we're happy to help. We're your trusted legal advisor. So always come to us. So we are the people they call when any type of legal situation arises. I think that's really important. Other ways to encourage client referrals. We want to stay top of mind, right? TOMA, right? And we do that through the newsletter, or else I'm telling you, clients will forget about you no matter how good of a job you did, no matter how great of a win you achieve for that client. He or she will forget you eventually, right? So you want to stay top of mind. Again, we're having a conversation, ongoing conversation. We do it through the newsletter, the email blast, Mother's Day, Father's Day cards. Not many law firms, if any, that I know of do that, but we do that here. So show up differently. Send Father's Day cards, send Mother's Day cards. We send a Valentine's Day card that says, we love your referrals, because again, we're further encouraging a referral culture that we value referral, and we're here for you whenever we can help someone that you know. Birthday calls. A lot of people don't get contacted on their birthday, and that's pretty sad, but it happens a lot. So if you can ideally your staff, right, can make birthday calls or a birthday video, personal video, or an email, just reaching out to that person on their birthday each and every year, that client will love you and will not forget you when they know someone who needs your services. We just touched upon a lot of stuff. We just threw a lot of content at you. This is a process for me that's ongoing. There's so much to be done. Again, again, that book was really good. That book opened up my eyes. That book, Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi, because it's not about establishing and building my network. I'm trying to help other attorneys with their network. So what I'll do is, if I have, two attorneys in my network, say a family law attorney and a real estate attorney who don't know each other, I'll just send an email to both of them. Hey guys, just connecting you in case you already know each other. It's just, again, another way to be different, to provide value, to give, to be generous. This is all about generosity. And attorneys love that. Just to be connected to another attorney that they could do business with, that they could have a relationship with. I mean, I just did a lot of, I kind of went through the work of, building a relationship with those two lawyers, not putting them together, makes me feel good, gives me happiness. So that's always something that you can do. But again, we hit a lot of topics. I hope it was valuable. I appreciate everyone's time on the call. I know everyone's super busy as an attorney, and I understand, but I appreciate you jumping on the call. If there's any questions that I can answer, I'm more than happy to.
Chris, that was amazing. Thank you so much sharing about the mindset, the list, building and nurturing relationships, staying top of mind. And you do as you speak. You are very disarming and approachable and transparent. We really appreciate all of this. I see that Miriam has her hand raised, so I will allow her to talk. And Miriam, go ahead with your question.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. I have a question. I am a family mediator. So I'm always, I have to balance whether, we'll say I was thinking of sending a birthday call, but then on the other hand, I feel badly reminding people about one of the worst times of their lives. So I was just wondering what your opinion would be about that, I'm not sure if on a birthday they actually do want to remember 2 years ago, I was going through this really difficult divorce.
Okay, so that's an issue I find with a lot of, family law practitioners and criminal defense practitioners, but I know many of them who do keep the conversation going and send a card. So, you represented that client and you did the best job you could, and you're just simply, saying happy birthday. Now, whatever that may be that brought them to you, you're still just saying, you're not really asking for anything. You're just saying happy birthday, just thinking of you, have a great day. And, maybe the client doesn't want to remember that and throws it in the trash and says, oh, I'm done with that. Or, perhaps they appreciate that and they remember what you did for them. Is that helpful? Because I know it's a sensitive facet of law and it's emotional, so emotional for the client.
Right.
But you're just continuing the dialogue because you did your job and you're just continuing that conversation with that person.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Miriam, on a personal note, I think that reaching out is always thoughtful and nice. Just to share something I wouldn't normally, when my parents got divorced, my mom was very impressed with the client service she had from her divorce attorney, and she would reach out occasionally. When the lawyer later got elected and became a judge, or appointed and became a judge, she was so happy for her to see it in the paper. So I would say to go for it and reach out. We have a comment as well. Love this presentation. I have to admit, I love birthday cards from service providers, fully knowing it's business development. Yes, excellent point. I agree. Birthday cards, handwritten cards, they are wonderful. I will say too, I've received a handful of handwritten cards and Christmas cards from lawyers I worked with during my life. I would keep them and put them up on my bulletin board. It's lovely to get. Chris, do you want to talk more about how some of the feedback you've received from your clients on these cards?
Well, they love it. And I think it's really important to delegate that as a preliminary matter, right? Try to get that off your desk if you can, right? If you're a true solo, perhaps, there's services you can utilize, but just try not to do it yourself, right? But I think the main part is just to get it done. But yeah, I mean, clients love it. I mean, sometimes, we don't hear anything from the client, but I know they appreciate it. And I'll get an email back. Thank you so much. It was really nice of you. Some people are really kind of, they really are really impressed and makes them feel good. They love that. So you can't go wrong. I mean, it's such low hanging fruit to me, right? And it's just, again, keeping the relationship moving and showing up differently. Because how many people get a birthday card? I mean, not a lot, right?
That is very true. Something I'd like you to speak on more as well is CRMs. I can put as well in the chat. I recently did a Tech from the Trenches article about CRMs, customer relationship management, or for attorneys, you can think of client relationship management. I was intrigued when you said that your firm uses one. Would you share about how you use it, Chris?
Okay, yeah, we use it in a lot of different ways. So we use it. I mentioned the weekly email blast, so we can segment. A CRM is very powerful, right? If you're not using it, it's technology that can be utilized. It's not very expensive. So a CRM is a way, I hate to keep saying it, but we're having a conversation, right? And a CRM can, and to go back to our list, right? The list is super important here. A CRM can segment your list. I have English speaking clients, I have Spanish speaking clients. A CRM is simply a tool to set up email sequences for, say, we have we have email drip campaigns for prospective clients who have raised their hand and said, we're interested in your legal service. They haven't signed up. So a CRM, Laura, can basically be used to, nurture someone in a certain respect, whether it be trying to convert that potential client into an actual client, or once the client has become a client, we nurture them with a different set of emails. You could automate birthday emails as well, but it's pretty inexpensive, and the technology is very robust. We use a pretty sophisticated system called Keep. It used to be called Infusionsoft, and it can be expensive, right? I mean, you don't have to spend a lot of money on this, right? I think there's a lot of competition in the CRM space, but the CRM, again, comes back to our most valuable asset, our list. We're just simply leveraging our list in a very sophisticated, robust way, because I think the more you can segment your list, the more value the list can provide. But again, list generation, just growing that list as much as you possibly can really, really grow your practice, if that's what you want, right? If you are looking for that type of growth, the list is gold. That's gold that can be mined very easily, and that's really where CRM can come in handy. So I think a CRM, a website, a newsletter, those three in tandem, I think, Laura, really powerful results can come of that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Chris. And I've added in the link to the article on CRMs too, if you want to learn about more Lawmatics and things in addition to Keep as mentioned. So that's great.
Fantastic.
Chris, would you talk to us about, for people who may be introverted, maybe shy, and they're, a little fearful of reaching out to other people? I think something important is that you talked about adding value and being a giver, that you don't have to be a taker. But for people who are reluctant to do this, do you have any tips for them?
Yeah. I mean, I am the same way. I'm married. My wife is so social. She's a social butterfly. I'm the guy in the corner, being a weirdo. No, but I'm not the most social guy. I'll really admit that, but you don't need to be. I mean, we're just trying to engage other lawyers in establishing a relationship or nurturing a relationship. But yeah, I'm definitely a rather reserved introvert, but it's the more you do it, the more comfortable you become, right? With it. So I would just say, kind of, if you're uncomfortable, put yourself in an uncomfortable position. I think you'll find that it's pretty easy. And the more you do it, I just think I would imagine become more and more comfortable with the idea of having that conversation, right? And I think really good things come with that for sure. But I understand about being shy and reserved for sure, definitely.
We have another question. To what extent does Chris have his methods performed by staff rather than himself? You talked a little bit about this before. Would you expand on that and what you can delegate?
Great question. All right. I think any kind of birthday calls, Valentine's Day cards, Father's Day, Mother's Day cards, that should be off your desk and given to someone else. Even if you're a true solo who's just strictly a solo, there's Fiverr, Upwork.com. There's a lot of services that would love to work for you. In terms of the newsletter, this is another tip I wish I learned years ago. You can hire a marketing assistant. There's so many colleges in this city that you can find so many good young people who are social media savvy, right? When it comes to social media, I like, kind of younger the better, even like 20 years old, 21, right? Because the kids nowadays know social media, whereas even like a 30-year-old isn't, or 40-year-old, whoever, isn't quite as savvy in social media. So I encourage you, hire a marketing assistant. The marketing assistant can bang out your email blast, your newsletter content, your follow-up touches, right? Those conversations we're having, we're showing up in the mailbox, the inbox, we're showing up a little bit differently. But anything I mentioned, can and should be done by someone other than me in my office, except those initial conversations where I meet with that lawyer, right? Because I think I should be the one that does that. I should be the one that comes to that meeting with my merchandise bag to sit down and explain what we do, and to hear from that lawyer, what do you do? What's your biggest challenge? What cases do you like to take? Getting to know the attorney and being genuine and real. And I'm not hiding the ball. I said, obviously, I would love your referrals, right? But what do you handle, right? You do criminal defense. What does that mean? You do murder trial as your focus, or misdemeanor? What you do family law? What type of family law cases do you like? Really getting in that person's space and knowing that, understanding what's important to them. But I think that should be done by me personally in my office. But for you, maybe, you want to do the newsletter or the email blast, the birthday calls. It's up to you. But I think it's where delegation can be super helpful. And the CRM does so much for you that it's sort of a set it and forget it type of thing. You don't have to do a lot. It doesn't require a lot of maintenance. It's again, we're eating the elephant one bite at a time. CRM is hard to get started. And I was just so frustrated with setting up. And then I kind of got the hang of it and realized its power and how it can be deployed. So the CRM is another asset you can use to your advantage for sure. But if you don't have a marketing assistant, it's generally pretty inexpensive to get, even part-time. I highly encourage that for sure. It's super helpful for my practice.
That is incredibly helpful. Thank you, Chris. Our next question is, do you have metrics on what percentage of your business comes from client referrals? And if so, would you be willing to share if you have those metrics?
Yeah, great question. I have learned in my study of the business of law, the most successful business owners know their metrics cold, and I am getting better at that. I've not always been good at that. I was looking yesterday at client referrals and just trying to really drill down on that data. I have an article coming out in Maslow's Weekly about KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. So I don't have that number offhand in terms of the actual percentage, the metric of referred cases, but as recently as yesterday, trying to become more sensitive to that. So another thing, right? Try to know your numbers, and that number is on me to know. I should have that answer right now, but it's important. Those things drive our growth. We can really drill down. Oh, we're getting X amount of referrals. We're getting 5 a month. How can we get 6 a month, right? How can we optimize things and improve things? One more book recommendation, if I may, Laura. It's called The Spirit of Kaizen. Anyone familiar with Kaizen? It's a practice of constant improvement, and it's about going granular, about going super small each day and improving things. And this goes to, for me, my professional life, as well as say exercise or running or eating better, right? Going down and finding what can be improved ever so slightly. That's Kaizen. And for me, Kaizen is a great way to improve your business. When you figure out your metrics, your numbers, you can drill down even further and then really make decisions that can really, again, move the needle on your business, your practice, whatever you're trying to accomplish in life. But that's a great book, The Spirit of Kaizen. I think it's by Robert Maurer. Helpful book. Kaizen's a wonderful, wonderful approach. That's really helped me tremendously.
Thank you so much. I personally hadn't heard of that. So The Spirit of Kaizen will add to our list, as well as Never Eat Alone. That is wonderful. Chris, you talked about KPIs, which for people who don't know were key performance indicators. For those, I'm sure that they would love to, read your upcoming article in Maslow's Weekly. Would you give a little preview of what you mean by that and how it relates to the past question?
Sure. So as a personal injury lawyer, three big metrics I look at are cases signed per month, demand packages sent out per month, and cases settled per month, right? Now, this goes back to the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. I'm trying to meet 75 lawyers that I've met before this year. So that tells me I need to meet X amount per week. We're trying to get to 500 Google reviews. I think we're sitting on 393. That tells me I need like 3.4 reviews a week to get to 500, right? The more, Laura, the more intentional I look at the numbers and focus on the numbers I am, results happen, right? Because we're being really, really laser focused on metrics. But KPIs, maybe you're a family law attorney, right? Whatever KPIs, key performance indicators you can start with, just start small. And I talk about that in the article that's coming out, right? We're talking about eating the elephant. It's not a one-day thing here. This isn't a a 5-year, 10-year thing. This is a career spanning endeavor to understand what is driving your practice, getting those numbers down. I look at a lot of numbers, right? But that's my practice. It may not be like that in your practice, but if you're not already doing it, try to get a handle on your numbers. What's your average case value? What's the average case duration? A time duration of a case that you handle? How long does it take you to get paid, right? Once the retainer signed, things like that. The more you can study that, I think I think great things happen when you become sensitive to those numbers.
That's great. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Would you share if there are other ways when you start the relationship of asking your clients for referrals? For example, is this something that you put in your disengagement letter with them? Or when do you start the conversation about, oh, actually, you mentioned you had a bulletin board, I think, in your office of
Yeah.
trying to give referrals. But would you talk some other touch points of when you talk to current clients about trying to encourage them to become potential referral sources?
From start to finish, right? We have, again, the sign the reception area, but in COVID, not as many clients come into the office because we're really doing things electronically. But, an initial letter to the client, thank you so much for hiring us. This is our, just as a quick aside, we put our firm communication policy in our introductory welcome letter to the clients. So they know about our communication policy. So we get on the same page, right from the start. And a mention that we would love your referral, because that's sort of priming them for what's to come, because they're going to be getting, and I mean every day, this isn't harassing people, this is just a gentle reminder, we want referrals. So we're starting that conversation by we're kind of priming the client that we would love your referral. In our CRM email automated emails that go out, those drip emails, there's a gentle reminder, we would love your referral. I'm trying to think where else. In the newsletter, again, we talk about that. In my training newsletter, I talk about that. Thank you so much for your referrals. To me, referrals are about culture, right? And trying to stimulate that activity by being consistent about our culture, that we are a business and a culture built in referrals. So we never, again, want any questions. We don't want people to wonder, do they want cases? Are they looking for clients? Obviously, I think everyone on this call, we want clients, right? Pays our bills. Puts food on the table. We want business, but people don't know that. They aren't sensitive to that. So we have to just educate in a tactful way of providing value, right? If there's someone that we can help, we would love to have that conversation with that person. But again, we're doing it, during the representation, but after the representation, right? Don't assume they're going to remember you, because they will forget your name. As much as they love you, they will forget you, and they will not be top of mind. So after the fact, after representation, we're going to continue that dialogue and always have some mention of referral somewhere in a tasteful way, obviously, right? It would be annoying.
Those are great points you made. And you said too, not being annoying, you're very authentic. And also where you mentioned about providing value, if you're providing value rather than just spamming people, they'll be able to tell the difference in the content of what you're providing them. And I think that's why your open rates are so high. And for people on this call listening to think about too, what is something relevant to your practice area that you could provide content that would be relevant for people? Maybe it's some frequently asked questions you receive or some notion. Chris, you talked about that to inspire other attorney referrals, you sometimes will speak in your newsletters about questions on hiring, firing, onboarding culture, things that are pretty universal to law firms.
Absolutely, right. And it's giving value and speaking to those issues that we as lawyers all face, right? We're all probably dealing with the same stuff. We may have handled different case types, practice area matters, but at the end of the day, we are in this to make money and to gain the most happiness and limit our frustrations as much as possible. So that newsletter is really well received. I've had, I think my client newsletter is really good, and it's good because my wife has a recipe in there. It's good because she's in there. My kids are in there, not because of me. But the attorney newsletter really is speaking to the attorney, things they're focused on or maybe focused on at some point, having that conversation, and trying to and reinforcing. We would love to receive your referral, right? But this is a two-way street. right? You're not going to get very far by just taking cases and not updating your referral sources. Those attorneys that are referring cases will go somewhere else. So make sure we talked about this. Make sure you update your referral source, right, constantly, or at least consistently, right? So they know exactly what's happening. If there's a mediation coming up, let them know, hey, John, there's a mediation coming up. He's going to get excited. That case may settle. Whatever's happening, right? We want to always keep things moving, have a conversation, always being a value provider. And again, great things happen. I've seen it time and time again.
That's great. And that goes back to your earlier points about trying to nurture and build relationship. Think like the farmer, that it's going to take time, it's going to take hard work and consistent effort. But then you will see some fruits of your labor.
It's hard. It's really hard, but so worth it. So worth it.
So I think that we have addressed all of the questions today. Chris, this has been absolutely wonderful. I want to thank all attendees. This has been terrific. We appreciate your time today. Our next webinar for Busy Referrals in June, we will look forward to having you. I will get the date here momentarily. I want to turn it back over to Chris for some closing thoughts, where I'm seeing some comments come in of thank you, Chris. Yes, I agree. This has been absolutely wonderful. And so, Chris, I will leave it with you for some parting words here as I find the date for our next webinar for Busy Lawyers, so people
Well, thank you, Laura. Thank you to you, to Rachel, to LOMAP, to the audience for jumping on the call and on a very difficult day, obviously, for the whole nation. But I hope it was helpful. I would love to have a conversation with you if you want to talk. I love the business of law. I love learning how to make my practice better. And I encourage anyone to reach out to me. The previous slide, I had my contact. Here it is one more time. I encourage you to jump on my newsletter if you'd like. It's totally free. And hopefully at some point you will be able to extract something in that that can help you in your own practice, things that you're dealing with that I find myself, I deal with personally in my practice. It's called the Early Examiner. I also have a client newsletter called the Early Edition. And you can just simply email me. My email is here on the slide, or text me or call me. And even if you don't want to get in the newsletter, just if you have something that you want to talk about related to business development, things you're struggling with, because I'm probably struggling with it too. Let's talk, right? You want to have coffee or tea? I really love, again, the business of law, growing the business and talking to other lawyers, because I learned so much in these conversations. So please reach out anytime. I would love to talk.
Thank you so much, Chris. We really appreciate that. I just want to note too, we got another wonderful shout out in the chat. Chris is the best. Agreed.
Thank you so much. It means so much, guys. Thank you so much for your time, really.
So our next webinar for Busy Lawyers will be June 8th. We'll have Angel, Nora, and Chelsea. And so we look forward to having you then. Chris, again, thank you so much. And I encourage everyone to get on Chris's newsletter. So that way you can also learn some tips as you go forward and think day to day about how you can use referrals. Thank you all so much. We appreciate your time.